Hi there. It's May the 27th and we're continuing our journey through 2 Samuel, and we're now in 2 Samuel chapter 12. This is the chapter where David really gets his repayment, his retribution for what he's done to Uriah the Hittite and to Bathsheba his wife. We remember that he arranged for Uriah to be killed in battle so that he could cover up his adultery with Bathsheba. Now Nathan the prophet comes at the beginning of chapter 12 and he tells a parable to David about a man who stole or took the lamb, the precious lamb of a poor man, a rich man who took that lamb to use it to kill, to give to a guest who'd arrived. David is really angry that such a thing should have happened, but then Nathan of course says, you are the man. You've done this because you've taken Bathsheba, you've taken the Hittite's wife, and you slept with her. And there's an interesting word he used. He says in Hebrew, lo hamol, you have not shown mercy. The word hamol in Hebrew is a word that actually means to spare or to show mercy. He's not shown any mercy towards Uriah. So what happens next is that David is sorrowing, he's sad, he repents of his sin. But God actually says, no, there's going to be consequences for this, David. I'm not going to take the kingdom away from you, but this child who is going to be born of Bathsheba will not survive, will die. David fasts and he prays and he seeks God's face, but in the end, the child, after a week of living, the child dies. And then David just says, he accepts God's will. His servants say to him, why are you just getting up and why are you not sad? He said, well, God has decided it's this way. I submit to the will of God. It's a very powerful example of receiving judgment and receiving the thing that is the consequence of the sin. And then David just goes forth into battle. Remember, the reason he got into this problem is because he's not gone into battle with his troops in the first place. But now he goes into battle, and at Rabbah in Ammon, they take the city there, and they make the city subject to slavery. And David takes the crown of the king of Ammon, and he takes it for himself. It's just a picture of David continuing to expand his kingdom. In the law, in the revelation to Moses of the law, one of the things that God says is that he is a God full of grace and compassion who can forgive sin, but he cannot turn a blind eye to injustice. He cannot make what is good, what is not good, good. And therefore David is reaping the consequences of the sin that he's done. We can be grateful to God, eternally grateful to God, that in Jesus he has carried our sin. He has paid the consequence. He has taken the consequence of our sin so that we don't have to suffer in the way that we see David going through here. We can come to the cross of Jesus, the Messiah, and ask his forgiveness and claim his covering from the anger that was against us. Have a very good May the 27th.